Good morning, everyone. Today we'll see the distributed file system. This is the one of the topic which is on based on fourth unit. So, what are the files and what is the file system? Files are nothing but the OS abstracts from physical storage device to define a logical storage unit. And there are some types, that is data. What kind of data is there? Numeric, alphabetic, alphanumeric, binary. Okay, and one kind is program, that is source program and object, source and object. So file system is responsible for naming, creation, deletion, retrieval, modification and protection of a file in the system. The resources on a particular machine are local to itself. Resources on other machines are remote. Logical component of file for users are nothing but the file name, file attributes, data units. We'll see one by one them. Like logical components of file is, first one is a file name. What is the file name? File name is nothing but the symbolic name. When accessing a file, its symbolic name is mapped to unique file ID or file handle that can locate the physical file. File attributes we'll see in next slide. Okay. So what are the data units? Data units are nothing but the flat structure of stream of bytes of sequence of blocks. Or you can say hierarchical structure of index records. Okay, these are nothing but the data units. So what are the file attributes we will see? File attributes. There are a number of file attributes. Some of them we'll see here, like file handle, unique ID of file. Okay, file handle is nothing but unique ID of file, name, only information kept in human readable form. Then type, needed for system that support different types of uh, different types, like what kind of particular file is there, whether it is an image, whether it is a particular document file, PPT file, PDF. That is nothing but the type of file. Location, these are nothing but pointer to location, pointer to location on device. Okay, then size, size is nothing but the current file. Okay, what is the size of current file? The maximum allowable size, or what is the size of that file. Then protection, protection controls who can read that file, who can write in that file, and who can execute that file. These are nothing but the protection controls which are associated with that file. Then time, date and user identification, data for protection, security and usage monitoring. Okay, information about files are kept in a direct uh, information about files are kept in the directory structure which is maintained on the physical storage device. Okay, so what information of files, where it is kept in directory structure and which is maintained on the physical storage of the device, that is nothing but the file information about those files. Now you'll see the major components of files. Major components of files are nothing but there are some components that you should know, that is directory service, authorization service, file service. There are again two types in file service, that is transaction and basic. Then system service. Okay, so what is the directory service? It will work for, or what is the responsibility for that? Name resolution, add and deletion of files. That is nothing but the directory service. Authorization service, capability and or access control list. Then file service, first one is a transaction in that, so concurrency and replication management. Then second one is basic, that is read write files and get or set attributes. Suppose you want to read or write some file, these are the file services, or some attributes you want to set, then these are the file services. These are the basic file services. Then system service, which is nothing but the device, cache and block management. Device cache and block management. Okay, so we'll see the distributed file system. First of all, we'll see the definition. Definition is nothing but a distributed file system is a simply classical model of file system distributed across multiple machines. Distributed across multiple machines. The purpose is to promote sharing of dispersed files. The purpose is to promote sharing of dispersed files. And what are the goals for that? Efficiency, that is work efficiency, flexibility to design that system or flexibility for design or the flexibility to the system, then consistency and robustness. These are the goals of distributed file system. Okay, so we'll see the how distributed system will work or what is the diagram. This is the basically diagram for distributed system, and in distributed systems files are located in that system particularly. So what is the distributed system? As we have seen in already seen in first unit, that is nothing but the systems are located on different locations and they are able to communicate with the communication network. So same way distributed file system is also like that, where the file system distributed across multiple machines. As you can see in this diagram, as you can see in this diagram, uh, files are located on different machine which are located across multiple location at a time, and each and every system is also having cache there and their disk. Okay, and server disk and client disk you can see, and they are communicating with each other by communication network. So this is nothing but the distributed file system. We'll see the naming and transparency. Naming is the mapping between logical and physical objects. Okay, naming means what? Mapping between logical and physical objects. It is in a conventional file system, it's understood where the file actually resides. The system and disk are known. In a transparent DFS, distributed file system, transparent distributed file system, the location of file somewhere in the network is hidden. Getting naming means what? Naming is the mapping between logical and physical object. And in transparency means in a conventional file system, means without distributed file system, normal conventional file system, it's understood where the file is actually resides, the system and disk are known. But what happens in distributed file system? Transparent distributed file system, the location of a file somewhere in the network is hidden from the client or user. So as you are using lowercase numerical identifier, it is located textual data, but it is not. And here there is one block, here there is one block, that name is nothing but the physical disk. Textual data, lowercase numerical identifier, and physical disk is here behind my screen or behind my that particular passport size photo. So that is nothing but the physical location of that particular file, but it is transparent. Now we'll see the location transparency and location independence. What is the location transparency? The name of a file does not reveal any hint of the file's physical storage location. That is known as location transparency. Getting the name of file, the name of file does not reveal any hint of the file's physical storage location. File name still denote a specific, although hidden, set of physical disk blocks. This is convenient way to share data. This is convenient. Okay, this is a convenient way to share data. Now we'll see location independence. The name of a file does not need to be changed when file's physical storage location changes. That is known as a location independence. Means what? The name of file does not need to be changed when the file's physical storage location changes. Dynamic One-to-many mapping is known as a dynamic and one-to-many mapping. Better file abstraction. Because of location independence, better file abstraction will be achieved. Promotes sharing the storage space itself and separates the naming hierarchy. Separates the naming hierarchy. You can see it will separate the naming hierarchy from the storage devices hierarchy. From the storage devices hierarchy. So this is nothing but the naming and transparencies. Okay. Afterwards, location transparency. How can we see that location transparency? What do you mean by location transparency? The name of the file does not reveal any hint of the file's physical storage location. The file name still denotes a specific, although hidden set of physical disk blocks. Okay, this is the convenient way to share the data. So these diagrams depict the same concept. As you can see, client A in between server and client B, and both clients in between there is a server. So afterward they are communicating through network. Exported directory mounted by the client and exported directory mounted by client. Here you can see these are the exported directory by client and exported directory mounted by client. This is remote bin and some of the directory and files are there. Users, team and inbox. Again files are there. And how they communicate. Suppose one of the file is used and from the server, but that will be hidden or clients are unaware where they are using or accessing that particular file. That is known as a location transparency. Naming and transparency. Naming schemes. Some of the naming schemes are there. Files are named with the combination of host local name and this guarantees a unique name, not location transparent nor location independent. Okay, files are named with the combination of host and local name. This guarantees a unique name, not location transparent nor location independent. Remote directories are mounted to local directories. Remote directories are mounted to local directories. Okay, the files are location independent. The locations, the files are location independent. Sun NFS is a good example of this technique. Okay, remote directories. The single global The single global name structure spans all the files in the system. So the DFS is built the same way as a local file system, location independent. Okay, file mounting. Next topic is file mounting. Attach a remote name file system to client's file system hierarchy at a position pointed to by a path name. A mount operation binds the root of one of the file system to a directory of another file system. The directory that glues other two file systems is called mount point. The directory that glues together the two file system is called mount point. All mount operations are recorded by system kernel in a mount table. There will be the table maintained by kernel. Once files are mounted, they are accessed by using the concatenated logical path names without referencing either the remote host or local devices. Location transparency. The linked information is kept until they are unmounted. The linked information kept in mount table until they are unmounted. They are unmounted. So next topic we'll see remote file accessing. There is a caching is important or one topic subtopic is caching. The idea is to retain recently accessed disk blocks in cache so repeated accesses to the same information can be handled locally without additional network traffic. Reduce network traffic by retaining recently accessed disk block in a cache so that repeated access to the same information can be handled locally. If required data is not already cached, a copy of data is brought from server to user. There is no direct correspondence between accesses and traffic to the server. Files are still identified with one master copy residing at the server machine, but copies of the files but the copies of the file there is no direct correspondence between accesses and traffic to the server. Files are still identified with one master copy residing at the server machine, but copies of the file are scattered in different caches. So cache consistency problem, keeping the cache copies consistent with the master file. That is nothing but the cache consistency problem. So why we are using cache memory? As we have seen in another video, it is completely based on cache memory. Cache memory is the smallest, fastest memory, and we are using that memory to reduce the network traffic. Okay, so but what is the problem by using cache? There is nothing but the cache consistency, keeping the cache copies consistent with the master file. That is the only problem. Okay, then cache location, as we have seen also, cache is a mechanism for maintaining disk on the local machine. This data can be kept in local memory or in local disk. Cache can be advantageous both for the read ahead and read again. The cost of getting data from cache is few hundred instructions. This access is cost thousand of instruction. The master copy of file does not move, but caches contain replicas of portion of the file. Caching behaves just like a network virtual memory. In conventional file system, behind the rationale behind caching is to reduce the disk input output, whereas in distributed file systems, the goal is to reduce network traffic by caching. Okay, so see the next one is a remote file accessing. A caching scheme in distributed file system should address the following design decisions like the granularity of caching data, the location of client's cache, main memory or local disk. It may be on main memory of client or it may be in local disk of client. How to propagate modifications of cache copies, how to determine if client cache data are consistent. Read ahead. Block caching schemes. It is a block caching scheme uses technique called read ahead. This technique is useful when sequential reading a large file. When sequential reading a large file. Fault tolerance issues. Stateful. Server keeps track of information about the client request. File server maintains internally some of the state information. So what are the state information? Open file, their clients, file descriptors, file handles, current file position pointers, mounting information, log status, session keys, cache and buffer. These are nothing but the state information. Stateless, that is for stateful. Now we'll see the stateless. When client sends a request to server, the server carries out the request, send a reply, and then remove from its internal table all information about the request. Between requests, no client specific information is kept on the server. Each request must be self-contained, full file name and offset. The server can maintain information on behalf of the client, but it's not required. Useful thing to keep include file Useful things to keep include file into for the last and files touch. Fault tolerance issues are nothing but the file replication. What do you mean by replication? As we have seen in another video, that is cache video, replication of the files is useful redundancy for improving availability. Means one of the server or one of the system goes down, you can use that copy from another one system or use that file copy from another system. Focus on replication of files on different machines rather than replication on different media on the same machine. Placed on failure independent machine, they won't fail together. Okay. Naming scheme is used to map a replicated file name to a particular replica for hide the detail of the replication from user. The main problem is consistency. When one copy changes, how do other copies reflect that change? That is nothing but the problem of consistency. Maintain the consistency. Some of the authors have surveys and the approaches to replication for database system where consistency considerations the major importance the major importance. The only way to guarantee the atomicity update commit is by using commit. Replication is by as a number of surveys are done, approaches are there, and they have to file tolerance means what? They only guarantee the atomicity update by using a commit protocol, that is two-phase commit. So how these are the these files are fault tolerant? How can we recognize that? Facing the problems associated with maintaining the consistency of replicas, a popular compromise is read-only replication. Means what? And no one can edit that file. Facing problems associated with maintaining the consistency of replicas, a popular compromise, or what is the solution for that? Is making a read-only replication only. No one is allowed to modify the copied file or any of the files so that the consistency is maintained. So no one is allowed to change or modify that file. This is all about the file system. In short, we'll see in next video the types of files. Okay. Next topic is the scalability. If the capacity of the nodes is not enough for storing file, new nodes can be added to existing distributed file system to increase the distributed file system capacity. As some of the principles are there, some of the authors Barak and Konarski listed several principles as bounded resources. The service demand from any component of the system should be bounded by a constant. This constant is independent of the number of nodes in the system. Garbage collection. It is the client's responsibility to set and later reset an expiration date on state information of the servers maintained for it. Central control scheme and central resources should not be used to build scalable system. The ideal alternative is configuration that is functionally symmetric, that is decentralized control with an administrator. Symmetric and autonomous configuration is clustering, where a system is partitioned into collection of semi-autonomous clusters. A cluster consists of set of machines and dedicated clusters. Okay, so because of these principles and the capacity of node is not enough for storing the file, new nodes can be added. That is nothing but the scalability to increase the distributed file system capacity. So this is all about the scalability, and this is all about the distributed file system, short introduction and attributes and data and how they are using and how they are useful in distributed file system. So we'll see new one topic in next one video. Thank you. Thank you so much.